Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Continuing to take a look at next week's slate, and we're going down to a Thursday night game as West Virginia heads on the road to play the Houston Cougars. And I'll say this, I thought I was high. West Virginia fans know we talked about this program heading into the season, and I was kind of high on this team relative to what everyone else thought this West Virginia Mountaineers team would be in 2023. I'll say it right now, though. I was not 4-1 to start the season high on this West Virginia team. Neal Brown in this West Virginia program, not necessarily these performances, but it really only matters what the score is on the scoreboard. And they keep winning football games. Coming off a bye, playing the Houston Cougars. Really excited to get into this one now. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown the boys for all of these game breakdowns truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, and again, best part about doing this, hearing from you guys in the comment section. Would love to hear your picks, predictions, players to watch. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. And without further ado, let's get into this one. This is an exciting one, right? You have a couple West Virginia guys who transferred over with Dana Holgerson to Houston. A little bit of a rivalry-ish vibe to this game. And I want to start with West Virginia on the defensive side of the ball. This unit has won West Virginia a lot of games. Like when you look at this offense for West Virginia, it's not very dynamic, quite frankly. This West Virginia defense, on the other hand, has been absolutely dominant. You take a look at some of the numbers, especially in the back end, a 50% completion percentage given up to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, this group in the back end has been absolutely elite. That's number 2 in the country, and a large story of it has been transfer Beanie Bishop. 7 passes defended on the season. He's been targeted almost 30 times. I think he's only given up 11 catches. Beanie Bishop, you go back to that Texas Tech game. I don't know why they kept going after him, but he's been absolutely nails all season. When you have a guy in the back end who is as locked down as Beanie Bishop has been, it makes it really easy to call your defense. And you're looking at West Virginia saying, hey, we really like what we have in our secondary. We think those guys can play kind of on their own. We're going to start sending some pressures, blitzing their safeties, blitzing their linebackers, doing a really nice job. I didn't see this one coming. Like I mean, I take deep dives into all of these Power 5 programs heading into the year. I looked at West Virginia's roster on the defensive side of the football, and I'm just like, I don't see that many playmakers. I like Lee Kogba at the linebacker spot. Maybe I like a defensive lineman. This unit has performed way past my expectations and been a large part of how this West Virginia team has been winning football games. I think the pass rush has been solid, and going back to having such a good back end, you're seeing West Virginia and that defensive staff like really get comfortable sending guys on pressures and blitzes because they feel really good about what they have in the back end. Now, looking at Houston's offense, they want to throw the football. And they got Sam Brown, Matthew Golden, a really talented wide receiver group. And I think Donovan Smith, from the games that I went back and watched for prepping this, he's been pretty good. I mean, had massive turnover problems at Texas Tech. He's only thrown 3 interceptions through the first 5 games, completing almost 65% of his balls. This Houston Cougars offense can move the football and score points. And I'm really excited to see a West Virginia defense that I think is playing extremely good football against the Houston offense that can be explosive and can put points up on the board. I think this is kind of the story is, can Houston make this one into a shootout? Because that doesn't favor West Virginia. You know what West Virginia wants to do on the offense side of the ball. We'll get to that. But if West Virginia can kind of limit that and not really make it a shootout and kind of slow this game down and get Donovan Smith off the field, that's kind of the recipe for West Virginia in this game. They also have a really good true freshman running back in Parker Jenkins, a really good left tackle who's probably going to be a top 50 NFL draft pick in Patrick Paul. This is going to be a really intriguing matchup. Now, you flip the sides, this Houston defense has been brutal and, quite frankly, a really good matchup for West Virginia. You look at what Houston has done against opposing running backs. I mean, 4.6 yards per carry on average to opposing running backs. That's 92nd in the country. TCU ran the ball for 250 yards. Texas Tech ran the ball against them for 239 yards. As good as this Houston offense has been, the defense has not been great. And I kind of like their defensive line. It seems like the linebackers a little bit lost in this one. And that's exactly what West Virginia wants to do. I mean, West Virginia, this is a crazy stat for West Virginia fans. 66% of the offensive snaps have been rushing attempts. That is number 4 in the country. The only teams that are running the ball more than West Virginia right now are the military academies. There is no question mark what West Virginia's identity is when they're when they're on the offense side of the ball. They want to run the football, and they got the guys to do it, right? Really good offensive line. I think some of these guys, Doug Nestor, Zach Frazier, like they're gonna be NFL caliber dudes. Wyatt Millen, I throw in there as well. They want to run the football. They do it at a pretty high level. My only concern is they're still pretty one-dimensional. Teams kind of know they're running the football, and you're going to see some 8-man boxes. One thing I'm optimistic about is this offensive line's been really good. I think CJ Donaldson is leaving a little left on the field. Like this West Virginia team is 4-1, and I don't think CJ Donaldson is quite playing his best football yet. And again, this guy's new to the running back position. He took the country by storm last year as a true freshman, but before that, like didn't really play a lot of running back when he was playing high school ball. So I think there's still elements of his game as a running back that he's still working on. If you can see a little bit better performances of CJ Donaldson, couple more broken tackles, couple more making guys miss, like this offense, I still think can improve. Again, it's not been pretty, right? 19 points per game. That's 112th in the country, 4.3 yards per play. That's 125th. The offensive performances have not been great. That being said, they're still winning football games. And I think a large part of it is the time of possession. Like they're keeping this defense fresh. They're number 11 in the country, controlling the time of possession. They have the ball a lot. One thing that I'm looking for West Virginia that I think like can maybe add another element of the game is we know they're not going to throw the football 50 times a game. Like that's just not their identity, and that's okay. But when you do throw the football, can you have a little bit more success, especially hitting the big plays? Like they have some guys in that wide receiver room. And I'm not saying this wide receiver room is great. It really hasn't been great. But guy like Devin Carter, like super talented dude. When you run the football as much as West Virginia runs it, and you're forcing safeties to come in and help and run support, that opens up kind of the explosive play through the air. And I get you're not going to throw it 40 times, but when you do throw it, can you hit those explosive plays and kind of make teams pay for loading the box to try to stop the run? That's what I'm looking for. And that's a added element for this West Virginia team that I think could really have a lot of success that they could have on the offense side ball. Now, getting to the pick, West Virginia, 2.5-point favorites going on the road to play Houston. And I bet West Virginia fans, they've been giving me it for not picking West Virginia on a few of these games. I obviously took Texas Tech to cover the number against them a couple weeks ago. I'm going to rock with West Virginia inside of a field goal here. I think the matchup and how these teams match up is kind of really favors West Virginia, right? Houston wants this game to be a little bit of a shootout. They want to put up a lot of points on the scoreboard. What West Virginia wants to do is run the football and slow this down and limit the amount of times each quarterback is touching the football. And I think they can do that because Houston cannot get off the field and they cannot really stop the run. How I see this game going is West Virginia establishing the line of scrimmage, running the football, putting some 7-8 minute drives together, keeping Donovan Smith, who's played really good football for Houston, off the field and playing this on West Virginia's terms. And that's kind of how West Virginia has won. Again, this offense is not very good, but they're playing the game, the last couple of games at least, on their terms. And that's helping them win football games. And that's an important aspect to winning football games is knowing your identity, sticking to your identity, and kind of bringing that identity to your opposing teams. And I think they can do that against Houston, slow this game down a little bit, be a little bit more physical in the box, establish that run. Give me West Virginia to win this game on the road, advancing to 5-1, which is you talk about the biggest surprise in college football. It's West Virginia being potentially 5-1 after Thursday night. Really excited for this one. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas as usual. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.